Welcome to the Misfit One Lifestyles with Elizabeth Colin. She will awaken and connect with your Misfit One. Are you tired of the ups and downs in your life? Are you ready to live a healthy lifestyle once and for all? We are talking about all aspects of your life. Being fit is not just physical, it's also your mind and soul. Learn how to take steps in your life to move towards your goals. Elizabeth's goal is for everyone listening to the sound of her voice to get fit. Let's get focused, let's get intentional, and let's transform. Now here's your host, Elizabeth Colin.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Misfit One Lifestyles with your girl, Elizabeth Colin, also known as Misfit One. And you know, when you tune in to Misfit One, we are going to be discovering fit people. You know what I mean when I say fit, focused, intentional, and transforming. And my guest today does all of that. Dr. Meghan Gearhart, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on today, because I always talk about different types of therapy because we all need different things. Things relate to us differently. And you are the owner of the Charlotte Dance Medicine, and you provide physical therapy and dance therapy to a lot of athletes and performers. And that's amazing.
Yes, I love it. I have a dream job.
Tell us more about Charlotte Dance Medicine.
Yeah. So like you said, I do physical therapy with dancers. And I think an important thing to note that you've already said is that dancers are athletes. A lot of times they self-identify as artists, which they are, but there's that athletic piece of it as well. And so Charlotte Dance Medicine was really created to kind of fill the gap between traditional physical therapy and sports physical therapy for your more traditional court and field-based athletes, and really tailor it specifically to the dancer athlete and their needs, because it's so different than other athletes.
And they are athletes.
Yes.
They really, really are. And the older I get, I realize, like, yeah, that's incredible, the things that they do with their bodies and the muscle control and all the stamina and everything that they have to do. Mm-hmm. So it's important for dancers to have physical therapists. And what's important about it is, I think you hit on it already by saying that is different. Mm-hmm. Can you explain more?
Yes, absolutely. So, first of all, dance is in general a very individual sport. Which is going to be very different than your team-based sport. And it's also an aesthetic sport. So it matters what it looks like. It matters what it sounds like. There's a big thing in dance with, trying to land a jump quietly. Another athlete, it doesn't matter how you land, you just land it safely, hopefully. But it matters what it looks like. It matters how it sounds, which means that the muscle control, like you mentioned, is completely different. It's meant to look easy, and it's not.
No, it is not. It is not. That point that you said about them landing softly, we went to go and see the Allen Ivy dance group here.
Last week. Yes, I was there.
You were there.
Yep.
Was that not amazing?
Yes.
And
absolutely.
we were sitting right there, right in the front, and they just land.
Yep.
Land. And did, like, it's a skill.
Yes.
That we don't think about at all. So that's a great point that you just put out there, where athletes on the court, they can just jump and like, fall down and like, shake it off. But the dancer has to land gracefully.
Yes. Yes. While portraying a character oftentimes as well. So there's a story behind it. So there's so many layers.
It's so crazy. So when you are working with the dancers, what impact would you want to leave with them? Like, what is it?
Yeah, so I love my job and I love working with dancers. A lot of times they are injured and I'm helping them get back to the stage to what they love. And that's awesome. That's a great part of my job. But ultimately, that's not like my mission in how I want to use Charlotte Dance Medicine. In the dance world, there's a lot of mental health and other health issues as well. And so while yes, I'm a trained physical therapist, a lot of times there are other aspects that get brought in. And so, when you're working with a dancer, you've got any athlete, but in my case, a dancer, you have got to consider all of the aspects of health and understand that whatever they ate that day is going to impact what they do with you, however they slept. If they are stressed out, if it's one of my adolescents, if they've got final exams, or there's something going on in the friend group, there's so many different things, and adults as well, stress that plays into your overall health. And so, the impact that I want to have is not just, can we get these dancers back to stage? Can we get them performing at a high level? Well, yes, the real impact is how can we get them to feel confident in themselves, but also in the other choices that they're making regarding their health. So how can we get them to be able to sleep in order to dance? How can we get them to eat better? Well, no, not a nutritionist, but how can we kind of reinforce that, in our American society, healthcare is very siloed. And a lot of times, while people are specialists, and that's great, a lot of times there's not a whole lot of communication between the different practitioners. And
Yes.
so obviously not licensed, not trained to do everything. But I do try to bring in different aspects. And so really the overall health and improving that and the confidence.
Which is a great point. And that's what I really want to dive into, because this is what I love about you is that, yeah, they do have to dance. They are athletes. We're going to be ready. Don't worry about that. Right? Their body physically will be ready.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the wellness of their mind plays a major role in their physical. And like you say, I'm an athlete. I was always an athlete. They never cared how I felt. They didn't ask me how I was feeling. They was like, if you don't get your butt on that field and do what you gotta do, right? Nobody said, are you feeling okay? How's your family life? Do you and your boyfriend get in a fight? No, they never cared.
Right.
So I love that you are covering the whole person, yes, including their mental wellness. Now, what does that look like when, say you are looking for a physical therapist, dancers? Mm-hmm. How do they find one? And then kind of walk it through what it kind of looks like when they go on an appointment.
Yeah, so that's a great question. In terms of finding a physical therapist, there are a few kind of directories out there. Doctors for Dancers is one of them. They're on Instagram and their website, and you can just type in whatever location you are in. It might only be based in the US, but wherever you're located, there are physical therapists as well as like chiropractors, athletic trainers, physicians, Pilates instructors, kind of whole gamut healthcare, as well as the International Association of Dance Medicine and Science. It's an international association, and you can click to like find a provider anywhere in the world, which is awesome.
I love that. And how can we be connected with you? That, like,
Yeah. So yes, I am based in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I do some work virtually. Most of what I do is in person. But if you are local or virtual is an option for you, you can go to my website to find out more information, www.charlottedancemedicine.com, or on Instagram, Charlotte Dance Med. And really, those are the easiest ways from there, you can get into the blog and the newsletter and all that kind of stuff. But those are the two easiest things.
I love that. Thank you so much, because one of the things is like I said, I've been an athlete, but I want to look like a dancer. I think a dancer's body is amazing, like amazing, to see them. When you said it earlier, that they also have to, it's a look to it. They have to look a certain way. They have to move a certain way. And being an athlete, a normal athlete, nobody care what I look like, just get the job done. Right. So when we are talking to dancers and when they go into this, is that a issue you deal with a lot, is the eating portion of it? Because I know a lot of dancers have bulimic, they anorexic, they really struggle with that. Whereas other athletes, we're trying to bulk up and get bigger so that we can, I want to use my size on the court. Like I got to throw my size around. Do you see that? And sometimes do you?
I do. I would say with the dancers that I see, I would say there is more unintentional disordered eating, just an under fueling, or just not timing it properly, not absorbing nutrients properly, rather than intentional. Now that absolutely does still happen, but the more we learn, the more we see working with dancers, nutrition plays such a fundamental role. If you're thinking of your overall health like a pyramid, what I do is with physical therapy and like skill is up at the very tippy top of that pyramid. That foundation is going to be your sleep, hydration, nutrition, and stress management. So if you don't have that, it's very hard to do the physical part of it. And so to your point of being, nutritional issues, yes, I see it. And a lot of times I see it because the dancers are just fatiguing out and not able to do what we need to do because they're just not built for it.
And right. Yeah, I think you hit a very valid point. I don't think they know. I came across people that did not even know they had eating disorders, but had eating disorders and it does show up as I'm so tired all the time. I'm sleeping all the time. I'm like, well, what are you eating? And I've talked to people who've had nutritionists give them such a stringent diet that they just can't function. But it's based off what they told them. I need to lose weight, or right? Have you heard that before?
Yes. Oh, yes. Sometimes you don't get the full truth. And again, it might be unintentional. But somewhere down the road, it's oh, hey, by the way.
By the way, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, because and it's so funny because I have talked to friends of mine, like, did you tell your nutritionist this or that? And it's like, oh, yeah, no. And I go back because sometimes they are undernourished, a lot of time we think of malnourishment as someone who is heavy or obese. True, but we can have malnourishment in the other way as well.
Absolutely. Right? Yes, absolutely. Yes. You can have excessive calories going in, but not the calories that you need, and therefore you're malnourished.
You're malnourished. I know. Yeah. And people are like, what? And I think that's so good for a physical therapist to be aware of it. Again, I don't recall ever as an athlete of physical therapy going, hey, how's your eating? And
Mhm.
They're like, okay, warm up here, there's stretch on there. Like,
Yes.
so I really appreciate that you take the time out to do a complete look at the individual and what they're going for. And what does that look like?
As far as a session?
A session.
Yeah. So I always talk to clients on the phone ahead of time. I try to, one, to make sure that we're a good fit, but also to try to get some sort of a history before I even go into an evaluation, because a lot of times what happens is you show up to physical therapy for the evaluation, and that's like the start. Like the physical therapist knows nothing about you until what they read on the paperwork, which you may have rushed through, or what you're willing to say, and then it's rushed through the evaluation, treatment, and out the door. I like to get some of that subjective history ahead of time. And then so we can really just kind of dive right in. And so really depending on what they're coming to see me for, there are some fundamental things that I will look at with the dancer, with their posture, dance specific postures, how they are able to do, if you're dance informed, a demi-plie, a releve, going up onto their toes or kind of bending their knees.
Yes.
It's a fundamental skill for them. And a lot of times it's, there's a lot of ways that they're kind of cheating the system. So we pick up on that right away. And then if there's an area they're having pain with, we look at that area. We look at everything kind of around that area. And then I like to kind of take a bird's eye view when I'm evaluating someone and not really think of why something is the way it is or how it got that way. Is I just observe. And then at the end, based on everything, kind of put together a thought of why, something is the way it is.
And then you move accordingly, right?
Yes. So, PTs, their job, or it's really a detective job and a problem solver job of figuring out, here's all of these pieces, this is how they fit together. And now how, like which angle are we going to start to address all of this,
Right.
to get you feeling better, but also, not just short term, but moving better and living better.
Overall, right?
Yes.
The overall thing. And what's great about, when you are working with athletes, they kind of get it. They kind of get the physical part, of course. They get that, so it's a easier push kind of for that, because they come in ready for that. They like, let's go. But did you sleep? What? It throws them off. Am I right?
Yes, it's usually, well, why does that matter?
Why does
Yeah, or on the intake paperwork, I'll ask about something. Well, tell me more about, whatever surgery you had 10 years ago. Why does that matter? That was on my abdomen. Well, because there's all kinds of reasons why that matters.
I think that is so funny. They are serious. Like, well, let's get down to it. They're ready for the physical part of it.
Yes.
So when we are looking at the athlete and all the time and work that you do, the bird's eye view, the initial intake, when you are taking a look at their fundamental skills and doing all those things, what do you do to make sure you are getting everything that you need? What does your self-care look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. That is something that I have over many, many years have figured out and, some days still working on. Yes. Personally, I am not as far as exercise goes, I am not a one type of exercise kind of person. I love my yoga once a week. I love my Pilates once a week. I love my strength training. I don't love cardio though. I will be honest and say that it's just, it's one of those, I got to make myself do it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's not fun, but I do it.
Right.
And then reward myself with something later.
Isn't that funny? Because I'm the exact same way. I will never skip on my weights because I love weights. I'll never skip on those things. I can skip on yoga because I'm like, it's hard to get into it. But once I do it, I feel amazing.
Yeah.
But in order for me not to skip cardio, I have to do it first.
Mhm.
If I do it first, because I want to do my weights. But if I do my weights first, and go, I don't really need cardio.
You talk yourself into it, even though you know better.
So
Yeah.
I get that, and that's important to take care of yourself when you are taking care of athletes or anyone, that's it. You have to put the mask on first before you can help others.
Yes, that was a hard lesson. Growing up as a dancer myself, we are very much trained to you perform for other people. You are there for other people's entertainment, pleasure, all of that. And it becomes this, self-perpetuating cycle of like, you don't do anything for you. Generally in dance, we don't speak a whole lot. And so there's also like a voice that is missing that a lot of dancers sometimes have trouble speaking up. And so very much that type A perfectionist, kind of, I call it the gripper personality, where for dancers, they're gripping their jaw, their hands, their teeth, their toes, their pelvic floor, their butt, everything, like everything is just so wound tight. And so letting go of some of that has been a journey for me personally. But I think that's, I try to bring it into my sessions because, that's meeting the dancers where they're at now of like, look, I've been there. I get it. I promise I get it. Some days I still work on it. But it can change.
Yeah, I like that gripping personality because it does. You gripping you.
Yes.
But you have to do it and still look pretty doing it.
Right.
You can't go like, I'm like, but no, you got to still be like smiling and everything. Yes. My face is all like, we were watching a lady doing the hoop, dancing in that hoop on the aerial up in the air. It was so beautiful.
Yep.
And she was so strong. So my husband looks at me and said, you could do that, but you wouldn't look like that. He's like, you'd be like, and I started laughing because I would, like, I already know I don't have that gracefulness. I don't have that breathing and because I would be.
You could though. It's a trained skill.
Right. I would have to be trained.
Yes.
But what's so crazy is you're right. You have to be gripped. And to let that go from dance to your real world, it's very difficult. Yes. Like you said, it's something you work on even today. Can you share some tips with us on how to de-grip? You see how I did that? I just made that word up, de-grip.
Yes, absolutely. Because a lot of people have this issue. A lot of people that work in stressful jobs. It doesn't have to be athletics. So yes, one of when you're gripping, your nervous system is basically in this fight or flight constant state. And what we really want to do is try to switch you into the other part of your nervous system, is that rest, digest, and restore. And so, as simple as it might seem, the diaphragmatic belly breathing actually helps to switch you from one side of your nervous system to the other, and really tap into that. So taking a deep breath in through your nose, down into your belly. A lot of people breathe up in their shoulders, and they don't allow the belly to relax. Dancers are notorious for this, or anybody in a sport or that is in clothing that is form-fitting. is they don't want to let that belly go because of what they think it looks like and what that might mean. But it needs to happen for your core to function properly.
You might want to breathe.
Yes. Yes. If you plan on jumping and doing that cardio, you got to breathe. So yes, the diaphragmatic breathing is one of the easiest things. Also for athletics, as well as any task, if you can kind of close your eyes and visualize yourself doing whatever the hard task is or the stressful task, and just picture yourself doing it, picture it going well, like however you want it to go, picture it going well. And then also think about how you're going to feel, like actually feel a feeling once you do it well. And it's kind of like a manifestation, but it also helps to calm yourself and de-grip.
I love that, because it's true. We have to do it on everything. And it's not just for athletes. It's when you're going to make a presentation, when you're going for a pitch, when you're going to teach a class, when you go, whatever you are doing, if you can take that rest, the breath, then visualize it, and then go in with a clear head, magic happens. That's totally manifesting, visualizing are things that's so underrated in our country.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So I love the fact that you have been working on this and sharing your past, your expertise in not just the clinical, but your environmental, what you learned, into pouring it into our Charlotte dancers. And I know you go everywhere, you tour with them, you tour and you do this. And I really am grateful that you took time out to come on. Again, how do we stay connected with you?
Yeah, so on Instagram, my handle is at Charlotte Dance Med, and the website is www.charlottedancemedicine.com. Easiest way.
Perfect. So we can go on there, learn more about her, learn more about what she does, and then make sure, you guys, that you really take time to breathe. Nice breathing, deep breathing is like the bridge from one side of your brain to the other side of your brain, and you need to cross it often. You need to cross it off. But before we sign off, is there anything else you want to tell the people?
The only other thing I would say is, I specialize in working with dancers, but if you are somebody that either is injured or looking to improve your performance, injury prevention, overall wellness, physical therapists in general can help with that. And what I would recommend is finding someone that you connect with. So not just, do they have the right degree? Do they have alphabet soup after their name? Well, yes, that means they've got a lot of training. Find someone that you can actually talk to, that you enjoy spending time with, that you can connect with, because that's where you're going to make the real gains, rather than the perfect exercise or the perfect hands-on technique.
Perfect. That's perfect. That is perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Pretty awesome. And you guys, please remember that you don't have to suffer alone. If you need therapy, in a physical therapy, if your body's hurting, reach out. Until next time, live fit.